All right, welcome everybody to episode number 5 of Venice Beach Central, and I got the lovely Javelyn here as a very, very special guest. And thank you so much, Javelyn, for coming out, because like I've mentioned at other shows, it's kind of like the original people are some of the people that I met at the Talking Stick. So, how's it going today?
Beautiful. It's a beautiful day, Southern California, and I love this part of Los Angeles the best, which is called the South Bay. We're here underneath, in what they call the South Bay bubble, so it always puts me in a good mood when I'm down here. It's near the beach, there's a beautiful view, beautiful people, and we were just chumming earlier and sharing how community's where it's at. It's always been my heart, and we met over community at the Talking Stick, and some good people we met there, and now, Nikki, you're bringing some of us along, and happy to be here, happy to share stuff.
I really appreciate it, because with the Talking Stick closing, a lot of us, we kind of split up, in a quick manner, right? We didn't really ever have time to mourn the Talking Stick or say goodbye or whatever, you know what I mean? So this is my little way of bringing folks back together. And speaking of the Talking Stick, I saw your show way in the early days of the Talking Stick, Java with Javelyn, right? And I think it was the longest running show there. It might have been, right?
No, yours was Mosaic.
I don't know. We went our own separate ways. Yours was continuously there all those years. What gave you that idea to do that show? Because it was so amazing the way you brought so many.
You know what gave me the
talent.
idea? Selfishness. I didn't want to pay to play, and I wanted a place to play where I could bring my friends and they wouldn't have to. Because one thing about the culture of Los Angeles, they call this pay to play, which it is, as you probably know, like when you want to play almost any decent gig that's live in Los Angeles, you usually have to buy tickets. Then you're supposed to sell them, but usually the tickets are like $10, $20. So to ask your friends to pay $10, $20 plus minimum 2 drinks, that's another $30, plus parking, which is another $20. You're asking your dear people in your life to pay like $50 a pop. So I could do it, I did it, but I just wandered into the Talking Stick one day and talked to the owner at the time, and I was lucky because there was construction going on, so they had some dead nights, and I asked the owner, I said, hey, can I do a night here? And I'm a person that experiments, that's my whole life. I experiment, I'll always try something once. People that know me know this, and if it doesn't work, I'll forget about it, move on. I don't have ego invested too much in anything, but if it works, I'll do it again, and if it works, and I start getting other people that want the same thing, then it builds something. So that's how Java with Javelyn grew, was because I knew I was a good organizer, and I just thought, well, I'll just fill a night. And my whole MO was, I learned, especially as a promoter artist, is I can only fill the room so big, but if there's 7 other people alongside me and we create this night thing, then we will fill the room every single time, and it will be interesting every single time. So it became a thing. In fact, I ended up producing, through doing it and the experiments of doing it 7 years, I ended up producing 4 compilation CDs, which brought it into the recording world, and ended up placing 8 songs in movies, and ended up having a contest that we actually went to Kansas through the Java with Javelyn franchise, and brought a Kansas band. This was the funnest epitome, was we brought the winner of the Kansas contest to Los Angeles, and they were able to do my 2 gigs as their gigs. And touch the Pacific Ocean for the first time, and that was probably one of the crowning jewels of that franchise. Because I think one thing too is I've learned as an artist, especially when you can give back to your community, it only makes you a better artist all the time, hands down. And I never knew that till I did it. And I totally encourage anyone out there, if you do music whatsoever, do something with other artists, organize something, even if it's just once. It gives you this whole different look to stuff. And it also, I think you can never give back the universe. Like, my music has only grown because of it, my career's grown because of it, and yeah, it was a fun time. Especially when it's your night, you can do whatever you want to. So then,
and that was great for me working at Talking Stick, and when it moved to Venice, was that every night it was different. It was a different group of friends, and it was just really fun to serve you guys and help you out as much as I could, and then because I knew I had my night, and so that made it great. So yeah, you were talking about earlier, we were talking in there about promoting and how you really enjoyed doing that, and I mentioned that it became an art, to throw a party or host a show or whatever.
Yeah, well, and there's always people when you're a musical artist asking you when you're going to play, when you're going to play, when you're going to play, and when you don't have your night, because that's something about, they call it residency too, like one little trick I learned, which I wish, well, I learned, we all learn different ways, but the trick is you want a night as an artist. You can pretty much play almost any club, even LA, if you have a following, or you can fill that room. And I learned through having a night and putting people, like you say, a family together, I learned also how to fill a room. Like together we could do it. Like alone there's only so much you can do, and it's the same people. And the other thing is when you have this constant turnover of people, you have this commodity, like we were talking about bricks and mortars. When you have a place, it's yours, you can share it, you never know what's going to come out of that, and it's like a family you create, and it's very inspiring too, because I know I would see these touring acts that would come from out of state especially, and I used to love seeing people that would do their own tours, because you could always tell, because they knew how to talk on stage. Like half the time, because my night, my night, it was mostly me, especially for a while, where I did the sound. I was at the door getting the money, I did the flyers, I set up the equipment, everything, and I was the MC and all that stuff. And I remember sometimes I'd have to run around, turn on the sound or do something, and whoever the next act was, it was funny because I'd say, okay, just talk. And they'd stand there, half of them, huh? It's like, talk to the audience, they're your friends. And the funny thing was, people who didn't have a lot of road experience, they would kind of stand there because they were used to just singing. But the coolest thing that I learned was acts that would do the road, so to speak. You could tell the difference because, oh hey, what's up? They were just like, right? They were like glue and water, and they were so entertaining to listen to. And they were the ones, I also learned a little trick from them, because you learn when you host other acts, you learn from them, we learn from each other, is when you can have a personality that engages your audience even above just your singing ability, you've got them. They will buy your CD, they will buy your t-shirt, they will buy everything. When they like you, they'll buy anything about you. That's kind of like a little trick. And when you, an artist, you just think it's just going to be, I mean, tell me if I'm right. I know I'm speaking with the bigger choir over here, but it's like I find what was so exciting for me, and I started implementing in me, was being a more engaging artist, that I wanted to know what people wanted, and even the lyrics of my songs started changing, because I learned that even the songs that's going to be shared on this program, it's all came out of living and then realizing I wanted, the kind of song I wanted to sing on stage was the song I wanted in my heart, because the more you sing it, the more it's a part of you. And I didn't want to sing death, destruction, and oh, the world's going to explode, because I knew it would affect me too personally. So I just started looking around, and I'd see something like this one song I wrote, Someone's Kid, that's written actually literally about Venice, and in an episode where I met this guy that actually was homeless, but the coolest dude I ever met, and he kind of opened my eyes to the homeless runaway side of Venice, and the kids that come in 14, 15 years old. And this girl came up and gave me like half a ice cream sandwich, and it so touched my heart I wanted to write a song about it. And I realized a lot of those kids, they're like fatherless, motherless, or they ran away, whatever abusive circumstance. So I don't know how other people write, but it just, in working with people, it gave me, I didn't have writer's block anymore, because it was just, So,
okay, I'm
anyway,
sorry.
go ahead. No, I'm rambling.
Tell me about your latest adventure.
My latest adventure. Well, after I did Job with Javelyn, which, going back to your talking stick thing, I think this also relates, because I've found that too, because this especially since Easter, we're just very near passing Easter, which is symbolic of a newness, something dying and something raising again, and it could be your life, it could be many things that it can symbolize. But with the talking stick thing, I think what it was to almost all of us, because I ended up where I went on to promote after, and was also promoting with the talking stick, I ended up helping a lot of the promoters and artists that was like me and yourself to go to another place and have another place to do their little, whatever their night was. And I realized that shutting down the talking stick was like kicking the nest. And those of us that still were destined to fly, we now had wings. We couldn't rely on our little nest.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited being here, because I realized even all the people that I'm meeting today that were at the talking stick, we're all stronger, we're all like even more in our dream what we're supposed to do on a bigger level. And it's kind of cool because we had that incubation time together where we were kind of needy. We very much needed each other. We needed that. But now we've kind of spawned other kind of communities. So not to ramble too far away from your question, I'm now doing a show, a visual show, which my whole Java with Javelyn kind of gently, just like Talking Stick closed, my whole live show for now, kind of little by little by little, I did less and less and less to where now it kind of morphed into, I was given a show called Adventures with Javelyn. And it's where I get to go and interview people, and it's very exciting to me because I'm working with new media, which is the internet broadcasting, which Hulu's new media, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Crackle. I know all these things because I've been knee deep in it for like the last 3 years, and it's exciting because this producer gave me a show and just said, I just want you to do a show. And at first it was going to be a reality show just on me, and I thought, well, and then I thought back to Java with Javelyn. I'm like, I don't want to do a night all by myself. I want to engage other people. So I thought, well, what if we flip the camera and have it be an interview show? And my producer really liked the idea. And I said, look, also practically speaking, that's more eyeballs, more people being engaged, more energies I can bring into this show and make it just like the party from the stage, a party virtually, where people can see a show where there's 3 people, but also I realized I don't want celebrities, I want real people. I want real people engagement. I want people that are compelling, that also want to be on the show. That's the other thing, is the passion of the people that, like Nikki, which there's going to be an announcement on the website when it's going to air, but I interviewed Nikki in one of the episodes, and it's really fun because we go to the Venice canals, and that's the other thing about my show is we don't do it in a studio. None of it's done in a studio. It's either out or some of it's in my car, but we try mostly to, like, we met at the canals, we walked around the school, we ended up doing a little jam with my ukulele, and that's fun too because I bring my music into it to jam with people here and there because music is something that brings people together. And then what I also bring into it are tech people, I bring in fashion people, I bring in people that work with kids, I bring in, up and coming artists, whatever it is, it's just a passionate person because one thing that's also happened in the last 4 years is Uber driving. But Uber driving has been like my research. It's been my education into learning how this community share thing and learning how everybody has a story. And there are very fascinating people that have stories that are never on camera. So that's what my show's kind of like, is I kind of find these people. I'm a people fighter, and I stick them in the show, and I make it fun and a party. And then there's always a music artist. There's always a music
guest. Let me
guest.
ask you this question that I have to ask you. Where'd the mermaid come from?
Oh, the mermaid? Yes.
Tell the folks about the mermaid,
the mermaid.
And the concept on the show.
Okay, the mermaid, okay, I experiment, like I said. So same with this show. I kept, in this hurry up and wait environment of when you start getting money for anything, it means there's also other people paying for it. That means you have to go at their pace. So usually, like alone, we can go really fast. I can do that. I can, anything we do ourselves. But the minute it involves other people, especially sponsors, it goes, and it stops. So me, when I'm stopped, my brain starts going, well, what else can I do? What else can I do? And when the producer was like, approached me about doing a show, and I said, flip the cameras. I also am a very private person. My private life is my private life. Unless I want to share it, I really don't want to be all over the place. I like the anonymity of me, Javelyn, in my personal life. But what I said to him was, I said, well, furthermore, I said, I have a lot of ghosts in my closet. Not bad ghosts, but just, those people, I don't know. I just didn't want to get into me. I'm limited. But I told him, I said, well, what about this? Why don't we take me off the table and make me a mermaid or something? That's literally how it started. Because I thought of red hair, mermaid.
Wow.
And then the more we played with the idea, the more it started making sense. And then it's a cool shtick because it brings this little almost Pee Wee Herman element because everyone's the same, see? So the whole concept kind of works because to a mermaid, humans are the most interesting thing. Doesn't matter what you do. If anything, a plumber is way more interesting than someone that reads a script. Or they're just all the same, see? So it kind of makes this interesting point of view, or like we talk about homeless. Well, there's no such thing as homeless in the sea, so it kind of gets your brain working, like, what's homeless? So I can legitimately talk to someone like I'm not an idiot, but like I'm a kid, like that wonderment and discovery, and it's opened up some amazing conversations of things that, like one girl on my show, she talks about Snapchat. Okay, she does a normal job, has a boyfriend. You'd think she's normal. No, she's not. She has the most fascinating discussion of how to do Snapchat I've ever heard. And we didn't plan it that way, it just kind of happened. So stuff like that, where some people that don't know Snapchat might be intimidated, might never learn. But her, within the course of the show, it comes out naturally because she just, you know. And she's not a star, she's not in entertainment, but she's she's hysterical. Like,
so that's where you're getting your latest wave of creativity, is in the interviews and getting out there in the...
interviews, getting out there. I kind of took a break to the last year from like live performing. In fact, it's been amazing being here because my vocal pipes are coming out again. But I truly want to go out there again. But I think sometimes it's good to take a break and just kind of like let life happen, because that's also where songs happen. Because I just saw this movie, little plug, but I love this movie. I Can Only Imagine is amazing, and it's about this guy and how he became, one of his songs became one of the top song of his genre, and it was when he stopped trying to write songs and he just wrote out of himself. And it took him 20 minutes, but like the interviewer said, you know, it took him a lifetime to do his 20-minute song. So
exactly, and that's your songwriting, right? Like I always believe, I've come from the Motown way of songwriting. It's basically, write it fast, and because that's when you get the true emotion.
Okay.
You can change and write down as quickly as you can, and sometimes I had to change the words here and there, but mostly that was the original emotion.
Yeah.
How do you all your marvelous songs, like you say, you have 4 compilations, Java with Javelyn, and you've been in you've placed 8 songs in movies. Where did you get your songwriting voice from?
Again, it was when I stopped trying to write, and I just did when it hit me. But I also have my iPhone around, so sometimes ideas will go in there. In fact, we were this very spiritual religious song I wrote, probably one of my best songs I think I've ever written, and it did go on the radio for a second. It's called Beautiful, and the funny story to that of how I wrote it was I was actually working on a dance track for a producer, and I was hitting a wall and trying to write, and I'm driving in the car, and I have this melody for this dance song, and all of a sudden this other melody hits my head strong, like do 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 do, and I'm like and I'm like I'm driving, trying to, and then beautiful Lord of all, and so I'm trying to like go okay, and it's hitting me stronger. So I get home, and I knew enough, and I've heard from other amazing songwriters, when that thing hits, if you don't take it down, it's gonna be gone. I got chills. So
that's true.
I went home. I thought I'm just gonna write a first verse. I ended up writing the whole song, just boom, the whole thing, boom, 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 and front. To this day, I haven't changed a word on it, and it was amazing. And it was, and I, and that's why I know I give credence, because there is that supernatural thing we all feel.
For sure.
That when you touch it, and and as a creative, if anyone's ever written, we all know it. It's like you respect it, But I've also learned, if I'm hitting a wall, I stop. I go do something else. I just get away from it, and I have it there. I record as much as I can. But I don't ever push anything anymore, because I know it's going to come out. I'm going to waste my time. I'm going to waste anyone else's time. But and same with writing with people. If I tried to write with this one guy recently, and I love the guy. I really wanted to do a song with him, but we tried to get together 3 different times. Ended up going to sushi, going to the movies, everything but writing a song. And I knew it's like, and then it ended up.
Exactly, you can have that. You have people that aren't serious. And again, Venice Beach Central here. Our mission is to bring the best and the brightest from Greater Venice, which I consider the world. If you've seen in our website, if you've seen our design, basically, yes, Venice as the center of the world. And Javelyn, you are definitely one of the best and the brightest that I've ever worked with, the person who's done the most work and all that with everything going on. And I thank you so much for showing up here. Like, this is only episode number 5, and I really brought in my closest people that really, really helped me the most at the Talking Stick. And this is, this is like our little morning, our little reunion. I'm going to go around the catalog, and thank you so much for being here. I really, appreciate it.
And check out the episode Nikki's on. It's extremely adorable, and it's going to be coming out. I'm going to be getting from my producer the dates, and it'll be somewhere on your website.
And we'll keep you posted on that, Adventures of Javelyn. Thank you so much for coming out. My sister here. Thank you so much. Peace. Nikki Black, Venice Beach Central, New Ocean Studios. And thank you, Eric J. Charles, for helping out with the show. Couldn't do it without you, man. See y'all later. See you next time. Episode 6. Look out for it.